massive muscles, explosive fame, and the future of bodybuilding in his hands. But in just a few seconds, everything came crashing down. How does someone at their peak vanish so fast? Behind the perfect physique, there was a truth no one saw coming. This is an intense journey, filled with glory, sacrifices, and some seriously risky choices. Today, you're about to hear a true story, one of those that really makes you rethink everything. And no, this isn't just another video about training or performance. It's about life, limits, and consequences. So get your mind ready, grab your pre-workout, and come with us, because what you're about to see might change the way you look at this sport forever. Before becoming a rising star on stage, Dallas McCarver was just a kid from Memphis, Tennessee, with dreams of making it big in American football. His size stood out from an early age, big, strong, and built for contact sports. But he never imagined that a simple training tool would change the course of his life. It all started in the gym. At first, his goal was simple: get stronger to dominate on the football field. But every workout session started revealing something more. The sound of the weights, the pain of heavy sets, and that addictive pump started speaking louder than his love for scoring touchdowns. Dallas realized his body was built for this. He grew fast, had naturally balanced proportions, and crushed in the gym. That's when the shift began. Football slowly faded into the background, and the obsession with the perfect physique took over his life. A new Dallas was being born. This wasn't a planned change. Lifting started out as support training, but quickly became the main focus. And honestly, how many athletes do you know who started lifting to improve at another sport and ended up becoming full-blown bodybuilders? It's a common story, but few ever reached the level Dallas did. What made the difference was the intensity with which he embraced his new path. Little by little, he started taking it all more seriously. He studied the sport, restructured his workouts, and completely overhauled his diet. He wasn't just a football guy lifting weights anymore. He was a bodybuilder in the making. And not just any bodybuilder. He had insane potential that didn't take long to get noticed. His path was clear: the stage. But the transformation wasn't just physical, it was mental. Dallas developed a champion's mindset from the very beginning. He wouldn't settle for anything less than the max. That drive for constant improvement started in his teenage years, and it's what pushed him so far, so fast. Dallas McCarver's dedication paid off quickly. In 2011, he entered his first amateur competitions and immediately made waves. He won the NPC Hub City Fitness Quest and also took home the title at Battle at the River, showing everyone he wasn't just another excited rookie. He was a serious competitor, hungry to win and full of raw talent. And this was only the beginning of his meteoric rise. The next year, he took a huge leap. At just 21 years old, Dallas entered the prestigious IFBB North American Championships, where he faced off against some of the top amateur athletes in the world. And what happened? He won the super heavyweight category and the overall title, earning his IFBB Pro card and officially stepping into the Pro League. Can you imagine becoming an IFBB Pro at 21? But it wasn't just the age that stood out. His physique was out of this world. Over 290 pounds, that's more than 130 kilograms, of muscle, a tiny waist, and that classic V-taper champions are known for. Judges, fans, and sponsors started seeing him as the future of sport. With his pro card in hand, Dallas didn't waste any time. In 2015, he made his pro debut and won the California State Pro. His stage presence was electric. That muscle density, the symmetry, and his confident posing made him stand out in any lineup. And then came the biggest stage of them all, the Mr. Olympia. At the 2015 Olympia, he placed 13th, an amazing result for his first time on that stage. But Dallas wasn't satisfied. In 2016, he came back even better and climbed to 8th place. And keep in mind, he was still in his 20s. The bodybuilding world started calling him Big Country, the prodigy with a monster frame and the charisma to match. Besides his performance, his sharp aesthetics and strong online presence helped him build a powerful brand. He was followed, admired, and seen as the natural successor to the sport's biggest icons. Dallas McCarver was at his peak. young, rising fast, and getting closer to the top of the world. With trophies on his shelf and hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, he looked unstoppable. But Dallas's rise wasn't just about good genetics. Behind every inch of muscle was a strict, almost obsessive routine. He followed a classic split that he took to the extreme. Legs and calves on day 1, chest, triceps, and biceps on day 2, back on day 3, then a combo of shoulders and traps in the morning and arms again in the afternoon on day 4. It was twice the grind every single time. On top of all the heavy lifting, he added cardio 3 times a week during prep. Treadmill, stair stepper, elliptical, or even running outside. What mattered most was keeping body fat in check. And even at over 290 pounds, he managed to keep a tight waistline, which is rare and seriously impressive. Can you imagine carrying all that size and still keeping those clean lines? His obsession with the perfect V-taper drove a lot of his choices. He kicked off every workout with supinated grip pull-ups, a simple move, but totally strategic. It helped open up the scapulae, warmed up the shoulders, and got the upper body ready for the rest of the session. It was his ritual, his daily starting point. For back day, he used dual-handle pull-downs, always focusing on full range of motion. With his wide shoulders, those handles let him stretch deeper and keep constant tension on the muscles. Every rep was slow and controlled. No jerking, no ego lifting. One of the more controversial moves he kept in his routine was behind-the-head shoulder press on the Smith machine. A lot of people skip that one because of the shoulder risk, but Dallas trusted perfect form and a machine's alignment to keep it safe. And judging by how insane his delts looked on stage, it's hard to argue with the results. He also spent a ton of time on lateral and front raise variations, using both dumbbells and cables. Details mattered, like turning his pinky slightly up on lateral raises. That tiny tweak was part of his extreme attention to form. Everything he did was aimed at building a stage-ready physique that grabbed attention the second he walked out. And when it came to abs, no weights. Dallas believed that adding resistance to training could thicken the midsection and mess with his aesthetics. Instead, he focused on controlled, high-rep movements like hanging leg raises and classic crunches. He used to say most people waste their workouts because they just go through the motions. And you, how do you train your abs? Do you focus or just phone it in? One of the most mind-blowing things about Dallas McCarver's physique was how he kept that tiny waist, even while weighing over 290 pounds in the off-season. A big part of that was thanks to his crazy, fast metabolism. To stay lean, he ate between 5,000 and 5,500 calories a day, numbers that for most people would mean a full-on bulking phase. His diet was super clean and dialed in, focused on performance and aesthetics. First thing in the morning, he downed 200 milliliters of black coffee, followed by a solid breakfast. 2 whole omega, 3 eggs, 10 egg whites, and half a cup of cream of rice. Pure fuel to feed the muscles and stay laser-focused. Throughout the day, his meals were built around tilapia, chicken, jasmine rice, and sweet potatoes, lean proteins, and high-quality carbs. Dinner was lighter, usually tilapia and asparagus, to help digestion and avoid bloating before bed. Everything was calculated. No excuses. No guesswork. Funny thing is, before working with his coach, Dallas used to eat 300 grams of meat per meal, thinking more was the secret. But his coach got him to cut it down to 100 grams. And guess what? He didn't lose any muscle. That moment flipped a switch in his mindset. He started chasing quality over quantity, a lesson many athletes take way too long to learn. Dallas even talked about his football days, when he'd force-feed himself to the point of nearly throwing up just to gain weight fast. He was always bloated and uncomfortable. As a bodybuilder, his whole focus changed. Now, it was about staying lean year-round, even if that meant eating more often with smaller, well-balanced meals. That kind of discipline showed that behind all the muscle, there was a brain running the show. It wasn't just genetics. It was a deadly combo of fast metabolism, smart nutrition choices, and strategic adjustments that turned him into a constantly shredded machine. In the end, Dallas's diet was insane, not just because of the volume, but because of how precisely he controlled it. He understood exactly how each food affected his physique and used that knowledge to his advantage. It's an important reminder. Muscles are built in the gym, but they're revealed in the kitchen. And Dallas knew exactly what he was doing, at least as long as his body could keep up. The year was 2017, and Dallas McCarver was at the peak of his career. His physique was one of the most impressive in the game, and fans expected to see him at every major event. But at the Arnold Classic Australia, something terrifying happened. In the middle of his routine, under the bright lights and cameras, Dallas collapsed on stage. The moment shocked the bodybuilding world. A young, massive, and seemingly healthy athlete dropped to the ground in front of thousands of spectators. He was rushed to the hospital immediately. The official diagnosis was severe bronchitis, an inflammation that made it hard for him to breathe. Doctors were clear. He needed to stop everything, get thoroughly checked, and take time off. But Dallas didn't listen. Against all medical advice, he went back home and jumped right back into training like nothing had happened. His focus was on growing, not wasting time. That moment, which should have been a major red flag, turned into just another obstacle he chose to ignore. From then on, the symptoms only got worse. He developed a constant cough and shortness of breath, clear signs that something serious was going on. Still, he didn't slow down. He kept eating like always, training like a beast, and prepping for future shows. It was like driving a car with the engine failing, and stepping on the gas even harder. People close to him knew something wasn't right. But the hardcore bodybuilding lifestyle often glorifies pushing through pain, like ignoring your body means you're strong. In Dallas's case, that mindset was costing him way more than he realized. The machine everyone admired on the outside was already crying for help on the inside. The onstage collapse wasn't just a freak accident. It was a serious warning that his body had reached its limit. But driven by goals and expectations, he kept pushing forward, pretending everything was fine. Dallas McCarver was seen as the future of bodybuilding, but inside, alarms were going off nonstop. The Arnold Classic incident was the first major public wake-up call, a sign that something was deeply wrong. Unfortunately, that collapse was just the beginning of a series of events that would end in tragedy only a few months later. On the night of August 22nd, 2017, everything seemed normal in Dallas McCarver's world. He had just spoken to his girlfriend, WWE wrestler Dana Brooke, in a calm phone call. He said he was going to eat dinner and head to bed. No warning signs, nothing out of the ordinary, just a regular moment that would be remembered forever. Just before midnight, his friend and training partner, Josh Lenartoix, arrived at the apartment they shared. When he walked into the kitchen, he was met with a nightmare. Dallas was lying unconscious on the floor, food scattered around him. The silence in the room clashed with the panic that would follow. Josh immediately tried to revive him and called emergency services. The ambulance arrived fast, but it was already too late. At 1:03 a.m., Dallas McCarver was officially pronounced dead at the hospital. He was just 26 years old, a star that burned too bright and faded out in the harshest, most sudden way. At first, reports said he had choked on food. It seemed plausible, especially given his size and the habit of eating large meals. That's the explanation Dana Brooke initially gave while still in shock. But there were doubts. Something about the story didn't sit right. People in the bodybuilding world already knew he had been ignoring serious warning signs. His collapse in Australia was still fresh in everyone's minds. This didn't feel like just a random accident at home. Could the choking have been just the surface of something much deeper? The real answer came months later when the official autopsy was released, and it shook the entire fitness world. It wasn't food that killed Dallas McCarver. It was his heart. The real enemy had been inside him all along, silently growing until the inevitable collapse. Dallas's heart weighed a shocking 820 grams, almost 3 times the normal weight of a human heart. It also showed signs of concentric left ventricular hypertrophy, a dangerous condition that increases the risk of fatal arrhythmias. It was like he'd been walking around with a ticking time bomb in his chest, and it finally went off. But the damage didn't stop with the heart. His liver was 4 times its normal size, and his kidneys were enlarged too, showing signs of nephrosclerosis. Basically, the tissue had started to harden severely. His lungs had pulmonary fibrosis, which explained the chronic coughing and shortness of breath he'd been dealing with for months. Inside, his body was in total collapse. Another shock came when they found thyroid cancer, specifically papillary carcinoma. While this type of cancer can have various causes, it's often linked to hormonal imbalances, and Dallas's body was drowning in them. The toxicology report showed extremely high levels of testosterone and trenbolone, powerful anabolic steroids known to seriously strain the cardiovascular system. On top of that, there were traces of caffeine and cannabis in his system, not related to the cause of death, but still present. The report also confirmed past use of GH, growth hormone, and insulin, two substances that, when combined with steroids, amplify side effects, especially the abnormal growth of internal organs. Doctors said his heart had grown so much that the nerves controlling it couldn't keep up. It became a strong but electrically unstable muscle, basically a ticking time bomb in his chest. The autopsy was clear. The cause of death was chronic use of exogenous steroids. His body was literally tearing itself apart from the inside. The truth was brutal, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. A young athlete, admired by thousands, dead at just 26 years old, with a sculpted exterior and a body in ruins on the inside. Dallas McCarver left the world way too soon, but his journey left a deep mark on the bodybuilding world. He was that rare mix of blessed genetics, insane focus, and unshakable discipline. From his first steps in the gym to the Mr. Olympia stage, he proved how far hard work and hunger could take you. His progress inspired a whole generation of athletes and fans. Wherever he went, he impressed, not just with his size, but with his stage presence, his professional attitude, and the way he treated his fans. He was known as Big Country, the humble kid from the South who set out to conquer the world with iron and blood. But Dallas's story isn't just a tale of determination. It's a loud, painful wake-up call about the extremes of modern bodybuilding. In chasing the perfect physique, he pushed way past the limit and paid the ultimate price. What was once his biggest strength became his downfall. His body looked invincible, but it was falling apart on the inside. It's easy to get caught up in appearances. Instagram photos, shredded physiques, the spotlight on stage. But what people don't see are the things behind the scenes. The ignored checkups, the silent breakdowns, the side effects hiding under perfect lighting. Dallas's story forces us to ask, how far is too far? Is the dream physique really worth it if the price is your health? Or worse, your life? The story of Dallas McCarver is more than a tragic biography. It's a mirror, a raw, honest look at how the sport we love can become deadly when we lose sight of our limits. He didn't die by chance. He didn't die in a freak accident. He died because, somewhere along the way, the pursuit of the perfect body became more important than protecting his life. And that can't keep being normalized. How many athletes do you know who are on the same path, pushing their bodies without knowing what's happening inside? How many times have you seen someone chase size over health? Dallas showed us that not even the youngest, strongest, or most disciplined are safe from the consequences. It's a painful reminder. The dream body can cost you your life. Let this story be a moment of reflection, not just for competitors, but for everyone who trains with passion. Coaches, fans, new athletes, we all need to stop and ask ourselves, what price are we really willing to pay? The line between dedication and self-destruction is way thinner than it looks. And once you cross it, there might not be a way back. If you made it this far, it's because you care about this sport. And that's exactly why we need to keep it real. No filters, just truth, like we did in this video. If this story hit you, drop a like below, because it helps us share these kinds of messages with more people. And if you want more real-life stories like this one, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss anything. And hey, I've got a special invite for you. Become a channel member. That helps us keep creating stories with research, responsibility, and respect. You'll also get access to bonus content and be part of our community more closely. Now I want to hear from you. What part of Dallas's story hit you the hardest? Did you know all these details already? Drop a comment. I read them all and reply when I can. Let's learn together and grow stronger as a community. And before you go, there's a video you have to watch. It's linked in the description and up here in the card. Click it and keep going with us on this journey. Thanks for sticking around till the end. And remember, your health comes first. Always.